$150 billion. That's the size of the human trafficking industry. It's bigger than Netflix, Disney Plus, and Amazon Prime combined, and it's destroying millions of lives. But there's a new player in town, Palantir. They're not making movies, they're making miracles. With data as their weapon, they're taking on this Goliath of crime and winning. You know what's crazy? Human trafficking is a $150 billion industry. That's not a typo. Billion with a B. And it's growing. Year after year, more people are trapped in this nightmare. Let's break it down. This isn't about numbers on a spreadsheet. We're talking real lives, real people. Mothers, fathers, kids. The International Labor Organization estimates over 40 million people are victims of modern slavery. It's staggering. But why can't we stop it? The problem is data, or rather, the lack of it. These criminals are smart. They hide. They operate in the shadows, always one step ahead. And traditional law enforcement? They're outgunned, outmaneuvered, always playing catch-up. These traffickers aren't using LinkedIn to advertise their operations. They're using encrypted messages, dark web forums, constantly changing their tactics. It's like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. And here's another thing that makes it so tough. The victims often can't speak up. They're terrified, isolated, sometimes don't even speak the local language. We're not just fighting criminals, we're fighting silence. We're fighting fear. But you know what really gets me? The money. Every dollar in this vast industry is blood money. Every transaction, a life destroyed. We need to understand this isn't just a crime, it's a dark, twisted version of a global supply chain. So what do? How do we fight something this big, this complex? That's where Palantir comes in. But before we talk about the solution, we need to really understand the problem. We need to grasp just how massive, how intricate this Goliath really is. Because here's the thing. To beat this trafficking market, you need more than good intentions. You need more than conventional tactics. You need something revolutionary. And that's exactly what Palantir is bringing to the table. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's dive deeper into this dark world before we see the light at the end of the tunnel. Palantir is redefining the fight against human trafficking. Founded in 2003 by Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, this company isn't your average Silicon Valley startup. They've got a reputation that's off the charts, and for good reason. Palantir's specialty? Making sense of massive amounts of data. We're talking planet-sized here. Their tech connects dots across millions of data points, transactions, phone calls, border crossings, all at once. It's like they've given law enforcement a superpower. But here's what really blows my mind. Palantir isn't just finding patterns. They're predicting where criminals will strike next. It's hardcore data science and AI at work. Palantir's software platforms, Foundry and Gotham, handle data on a scale that's hard to even imagine. They're uncovering insights that would be impossible to see otherwise. It's like they've given analysts superhuman vision. Now let's talk about how they're using this tech to fight human trafficking. Palantir has been working with Polaris, an organization on the front lines of this fight, for over a decade. And Palantir's tools have completely changed the game for them. Here's where it gets really interesting. Palantir's AI automates the extraction of information from unstructured text. Every case note, every report, every scrap of information about trafficking operations. Their tech sifts through it all and pulls out the important bits. It's helping organizations like Polaris identify trafficking hotspots and allocate resources more efficiently. We need to understand something here. This isn't just cool tech. This is about saving lives. Every pattern Palantir's AI uncovers could mean the difference between freedom and slavery for real people. That's the power of what they're doing. Now, I know some of you are thinking about privacy concerns, and you're not wrong to ask. But Palantir's CEO, Dr. Alexander Karp, has been clear about their commitment to ethical practices and policies to mitigate risks related to human trafficking. The way I see it, we're at a turning point in the fight against human trafficking. When you're up against a $150 billion criminal industry, you need every advantage you can get. And Palantir, they're bringing some serious firepower to the fight. Palantir's taking the fight against human trafficking to a whole new level with their cutting-edge AI. Every day we're all leaving digital breadcrumbs, credit card swipes, phone calls, border crossings, On their own, these data points don't mean much, but when you put them all together, it tells a story. And Palantir's AI is reading that story like never before. Palantir's partnership with Polaris, one of the biggest anti-trafficking organizations out there, is uncovering patterns that human analysts would never spot. We're talking about connections that are invisible to the naked eye. Polaris has one of the largest data sets on human trafficking in the world. Info from their hotline, research, you name it. And Palantir's tech is sifting through all of it, finding the needles in this massive haystack. But here's where it gets really interesting. Palantir's Foundry platform is allowing Polaris to develop custom apps and analytical tools. They're building exactly what they need to fight trafficking more effectively. During a hack week, they came up with new workflows that use AI to extract data and visualize it in ways that reveal trafficking patterns and trends as they're happening. This isn't just about catching bad guys, though. Palantir's tech is powering the National Survivor Study, co-designed with survivors to guide the fight against trafficking. That's using real experiences to make a real difference. We need to understand something here. This is about saving lives. Every pattern Palantir's AI uncovers could mean the difference between freedom and slavery for real people. And I know some of you are thinking about privacy concerns. Palantir's serious about security, with leading-edge access controls and data protections. They're not messing around when it comes to keeping sensitive info safe. The way I see it, we're at a turning point. For the first time, we've got the tech to not just react to human trafficking, but to get ahead of it, to predict it, to stop it before it starts. And that's not just impressive. That's the kind of innovation that could change everything. You think we've seen the full impact of Palantir's tech? Think again. We're talking about real lives, real people, futures that were almost stolen, now restored. And let me tell you, the scale of what's happening is staggering. Here's the thing. Palantir isn't just helping catch traffickers. They're stopping them before they can even start. Their partnership with Polaris, it's transforming how we fight human trafficking. We're talking about one of the largest data sets on human trafficking in the world, and Palantir's AI is sifting through it all, finding patterns we never even knew existed. But here's what really gets me. It's about prevention. Entire trafficking networks are being dismantled before they can hurt anyone. It's like we've finally got a crystal ball, but instead of magic, it runs on hard data and cutting-edge AI. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, but how many lives are we actually talking about? And you're right to ask. The truth is, it's hard to put an exact number on it. But let me give you a concrete example. There was this case where Palantir's tech helped identify a trafficking ring operating across multiple states. By analyzing patterns in online ads and financial transactions, they were able to rescue 12 victims and arrest 5 traffickers. That's 12 lives changed forever. But it's not just about stopping the bad guys. It's about helping the survivors. Palantir's tech is empowering organizations like Polaris to support victims more effectively. The National Survivor Study is a perfect example. It's co-designed with survivors, using their experiences to guide the fight against trafficking. You know what's really powerful? The way this tech is changing how we approach the problem. Catherine Chen, CEO of Polaris, put it perfectly. She said, "Our partnership with Palantir isn't just about data analysis. It's about reimagining how we can create a world without human trafficking." That's the kind of vision we need. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Measuring the direct impact of this tech on human trafficking outcomes? It's tough. These networks are complex and comprehensive data collection is a challenge. But you know what? Every life saved, every future restored, that's a win in my book. The way I see it, we're at a turning point. Palantir's tech is changing the rules of engagement. And that $150 billion criminal industry, they're not ready for what's coming. We're not just playing defense anymore. We're on the offensive. And for the first time, we've got the tools to not just react to human trafficking, but to get ahead of it. Here's the deal. Palantir's tech is giving law enforcement a major edge in the fight against human trafficking. We're talking about predicting crimes before they happen, dismantling entire networks before they can hurt anyone. This isn't some far-off dream. It's happening right now. But we can't rest on our laurels. The bad guys aren't slowing down. They're adapting, evolving. We need to stay ahead. You know what keeps me up at night? The thought that we have this incredible tool, but we're not using it to its full potential. So, what's next? We need more partnerships between tech firms and NGOs. We need to invest in training and infrastructure. Every anti-trafficking organization out there should have access to this kind of technology. Because here's the truth. We have the tools to make a massive dent in human trafficking. Now we just need to put them to work. The potential is staggering. With the right tech and the right collaborations, we could transform how we fight this global crisis. But it's going to take all of us. Tech companies, NGOs, law enforcement, working together. We've got the tools, we've got the talent. Now let's use them to make a real difference.